Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Odyssey podcast. Yes, I am back with current events for you guys. It's been a little while, but we're going to jump right in it. Like I said, current events for you guys. Is some things I definitely wanted to jump right into. Is some things that has been occurring with our young youth. As you guys know, gun violence is at the heighten. I wanted to tell you guys actually about a story that recently took place on March 31st. And it took place in Brooklyn. Um, and it was so sad how everything came about, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, you never know what's going to happen or what to expect. You live your life every day, you know, regular, thinking everything is going to be just a normal day, and not knowing that you might not make it home to see that day, or your child may not make it home to see that day. And like I said, the gun violence just has been at a heighten. But like I was telling you guys, it was a shooting that went down in Brooklyn. So I'm gonna give you guys a little back end story on what took place, so you guys can get an idea of what actually happened. Um, it was so sad. A day after a 12-year-old boy was fatally shot in the parked car in Brooklyn, community leaders said the killing was just the latest episode to unsettle neighborhood residents who are both scared of street violence and wary of a return to aggressive police tactics. The boy's whose name has not been released on Friday was in the passenger seat when a hail of bullets tore through the car shortly before 8 p.m. on Thursday. This is Thursday, March 31st. The police said he was struck in the head and pronounced dead at the scene. The police said on Friday the car sat at the curb in the East Flatbush section. Its passenger side windows smashed out and a single rigged hole piercing the rear glass. Bystanders watched investigators work from both sides of Linden Boulevard near East 56th Street. It looks quiet, but it's not. Asteroid Simmons, a nurse who lives a block away, said, "It's fearful here." Mayor Eric Adams, speaking at a news conference late Thursday as rain began to fall, vowed the gunman would be caught. The question I continue to ask: what about the innocent people? What about people sitting in their cars that are shot and killed? And Mr. Adams, a former police captain who has pledged to stop the sharp rise in shootings that has plagued New York amid the pandemic, as long as we have guns and revolving door system, we're going to continue to come to crime scenes like this. The events that preceded the shooting were unclear, but passengers in two black sedans had been exchanging gunfire when the boy was struck and fled in the vehicles, the police said. No arrests had been made by Friday afternoon. The boy's death was yet another grim marker in a wave of gun violence that has gripped the city over the past 2 years, increasing some New Yorkers' anxiety about public safety and testing Mr. Adams' campaign pledge to soothe those fears. Crime in New York generally remains well below its level during the city's most troubled recent chapters, but there were more than 1,500 shootings in both 2020 and 2021. According to preliminary police data, that was about twice as many as in each of the previous 2 years and the highest figure in a decade. One single weekend last month, 29 people were shot, including two patients patrons at a Queens bar, a man on a Brooklyn subway platform, and a Jamaican immigrant killed after an argument in the Bronx. The spike in gun violence, part of a broad national trend, is being felt most severely in many of the same neighborhoods where it has long mirrored daily life. those that are home to many poor and working class Black and Hispanic residents. In the 67th precinct, which includes East Flatbush, the toll more than doubled as the virus spread. The number of shooting victims rose to 78 in 2020 from 33 in 2019, according to police data. The figure declined slightly last year to 61 victims, but was still well above pre-pandemic levels. In Thursday's episode, the car driver, a 20-year-old woman who is related to the 12-year-old boy, was also shot several times and underwent surgery. The police said she was in stable condition on Friday and expected to survive. Another relative, an 8-year-old girl in the back seat, was not injured, the police said. The three had pulled over to eat when they were caught in the middle of another senseless shooting. Assistant Chief Michael Kemper said at the news conference at a salon a few blocks from the shooting where several neighbors said the boy's mother works, people inside waved away anyone without an appointment. Shooting Shootings are typically highest in summer, and with the warm weather approaching, some people in the neighborhood said plans to head off an even greater rush of violence were urgently needed. I'm afraid, said Cameron Jackson, the founder of Elite Learners Incorporation, a youth enrichment organization in the area. We have to act now. Is no one answer to solving this. You need community engagement. You need violence in- interruption. You need advocacy and education. Ms. Jackson said her group often worked with children who had experienced trauma and the lingering effects of shootings was evident in homes and schools. The 12-year-old boy's class, she said, will never be the same. His chair will remain empty forever, she added. New York's youngest resident have been victims in several recent shootings. On March 25th, a 3-year-old was hit in the shoulder with a stray bullet after leaving a daycare center in Brooklyn's Brownville neighborhood with her father around 6 p.m., police said. The gunman intended target was a man putting his 2-year-old son into a car nearby. The police said in January, an 11-month-old girl was struck in the cheek by a stray bullet while she sat with her mother in a car parked in the Bronx. The episode was part of a spat of gun violence that included the killing of a 19-year-old Burger King worker during a robbery in East Harlem and the fatal shooting of two police officers. The officer's death spurred Mr. Adams to act on a prominent campaign pledge, in introducing a revamped version of a specialized police unit focused on getting firearms off New York streets. The new incarceration of the unit, which was disbanded in 2020, in an acknowledgement by police officials that it has soared tensions between officers, the people they serve, begin work this month, including the East Flatbush and enclave of Caribbean immigrants. The plan has been criticized by some local residents who were worried about episodes like the fatal shooting of Kamani Gray in 2013. Mr. Gray, 16, was shot 7 times by plainclothes officers in East Flatbush after the police said he pointed a gun at them. His relatives and lawyers dispute the police account. This week, in another effort to stop shooting, Mr. Adams said the police department should intensify its focus on low-level offenses to prevent more serious crimes, a strategy known as windows policing. The mayor's critics have said that I'm sorry, let me go back. The mayor's critics have said that would be a step backward to an era defined by heavy handed mistreatment of Black Hispanic residents by the police. Pastor Louis Straka Jr., a member of the 67th Precinct Clergy Council, an anti violence organization, said the police alone can't arrest their way out of gun violence. Issues of mental health and poverty must also be addressed, he said. The economy inequities are glaring. Mr. Stroker said, until we address how we can make these families more whole and secure, we're always going to have these situations where people are deprived, and where people are deprived, violence, crime, and unfortunately are prevalent. Now, I feel like it is definitely something that will remain prevalent because we do currently have a lot of poverty going on in our society right now. And on top of it, we act like we don't know how these weapons are hitting the streets, but we do know how these weapons are hitting the streets because it's being put out there for the access of our children to have. A 12-year-old child should not be sitting in a car with a relative, you understand, and eating his food and just his whole life just be taken away within a blink of an eye because of a mishap between two people and they're shooting and a stray bullet hits them. As you guys were, I hope you guys were listening, but whoever does get a chance to come on in and look and listen to this particular story is actually touching because I know for those who do have kids, you worry about your kids every day on their way going to school, coming back, or even if they have to go somewhere, it's just a worry, even to go to the store because your main intention is you want your children to come back. And so for me, I know it was disheartening because that mother just seen her child. She was working. Um, Her son just left the beauty salon with his older relative. Um, and she's thinking, they're going to go get something to eat and come right back. And then on top of it, it had an 8-year old. And that 8-year old, God bless that 8-year old was able to survive and not be injured in no way. But that 8-year old life could have been also stolen. And so for me, I think we all need to be aware of what's happening around us. For those who have firearms in their homes, be mindful of children don't understand and they may take that opportunity to use that firearm which can be harmful to them, or it may come an instance where situations that may be out of your control, because I think for this particular situation, it was just out of all of their control. Nobody would have thought that, they were going to go get something to eat and be parked up and then a shooting would have took place. But this is how short life can be, and things happen within a blink of an eye and you just really don't know what to expect in this world. So the main thing and the main token, I think for me most of all, is like try to keep your kids as close as you can and always pray for them on their journey back and forth wherever they may be going. I really feel it for this mother. It's just so sad. I think we need, and the thing about it also, I don't think we realize that it's a lot of the minority children that are going through this pain and suffering and dying. So we need to find a balance within protecting our children. As you guys heard me read, Mayor Adams have certain things that he wants to implement, but yet again, it's so much poverty and it's so much pain and it's so much babies making babies. When I say babies making babies, in the sense of it's so much young people that have created life and they don't even know the route that they're going, or they have been through so many things in their life that cause them so much damage and pain that they now make it a generational curse to the point where now it's hand down to their children, and those children have to suffer that same pain and etc. that we see go on every day. you know Sometimes it doesn't pay to even watch the news because there's always something negative. But yeah, that's the current events for today for me to you guys to look into the story and try to be aware of your surroundings. And as much as you can, try to put the word out there that we got to protect our children, our innocent children. They don't deserve to die. They don't deserve to lose their life. Um, at all. Not at the age 12. He had a whole life ahead of him. He would not be able to see 16, 21, 18 and live his life or whatever that he might have might have been panned out for him, you know, and it was just snuffed away in a blink of an eye. Um, but yeah, I definitely want you guys to definitely check out that story. They have yet to release the name, but I will come back with more details as I get more details. But yeah, the 12-year-old boy was pronounced dead on the scene. He was shot in the head. And this took place on March 31st. Um, and my condolences go out to his family and his mother. Um, and it's so, so very sad. You guys, please, when you do come in and you do happen to see this live, I would like you guys to subscribe, hit the up like button, notification bell, so you guys could be notified every single time that I'm gonna go live. I want to jump into another story because I want you guys to know how real it is, on how serious that our children are just dying out here, and they are dying by stray bullets, and they're dying by killing each other. And it was a situation that took place also on Thursday in South Carolina. This happened in a middle school. Um, they have a 12-year-old boy in custody because he shot his 12-year old classmate of his. The both boys are the same age. I don't know. They never went into details onto how this 12-year-old was able to even have a gun in his possession. And they didn't go into details into why this 12-year-old chose to shoot his classmate, which is also, like I said, his age. The young man that passed away is also 12 years old. However, they end up apprehending the young man that's 12 years old and took him into custody. And he's undergoing so many different charges, um, which for me, I have so many more questions. But like I said, they kept it like very brief and they didn't go into depths or anything of the sort. So just like a brief understanding from me, right? On Thursday, March 31st, authorities took a classmate, um, also the age of 12, into custody as a suspect in a classmate's murder, which was also 12 years old. Apparently, he shot his 12-year-old classmate in Tanglewood Middle School, and that's in South Carolina, and left right after the shooting. Um, he was found by a nearby residence underneath underneath a deck uh, in a house or whatnot, and along with the handgun that was used to kill his classmate. And upon them apprehending him, they are charging this 12-year-old with murder, possession of a firearm during a violent crime on school property, and unlawful possession of a weapon by a minor. Like I said, for me, it's not quite clear what triggered this young kid to do what he did. It could have been anything that triggered him. He could have been going through something. We a lot of times misunderstand that kids don't go through things, which they do, and kids can suffer with mental illness at a young age. But it's sad because you have a 12-year-old that's dead, and you have a 12-year-old that's going to jail basically for the rest of his life. and really no understanding to what actually triggered this situation. This particular current events that I'm coming to you guys with tonight, per se, is to bring awareness to the many people and parents that may be out here. And when I say people, because there's a lot of people out here that may think, okay, yeah, I'm going to keep a gun in my house or whatever may be the situation for safety or whatever. And you don't know the detriments that that can be for somebody else while you're thinking it's going to be, innocent, it's for your safety, you're going to put it up. You have your child's friend there, or however, and then they're playing and then they end up finding this gun and then all kinds of stuff. I'm not sure if you guys heard about the shooting that went on Instagram with the little girl shooting. I don't know if it was her little brother in the head. I have to get the full story on that, but I definitely will come back with that story once I get it. But I believe she shot her brother in the head and then after that turned around and shot herself. And these are things that I question, like, how were they even able to get access of a gun? Where was this gun at? Where were the parents at? What were the parents doing at that time? But most importantly, like I said, how were they able to gain access to a gun? So it's so much. I have to. Yes, guys, I'm so sorry. I had to run off real quick, but I definitely want you guys to just please be aware if you have weapons in your house, children, even when you think children are not going to find it, they are so inquisitive that they will look and search, and they will be playing around and doing so many different things and come across something that you may have thought that you put away in a safe place, and after all, it's not safe because they end up coming in contact with it and hurting themselves and hurting someone else in the process. So it's your girl word. Of course, I came in because I said I definitely would just come into, you know, I'm sorry, that's my co-host, my daughter. But yeah, I just said I would definitely come in to touch bases with you guys on this current events that's been taking place, and especially dealing with our young youth. And like I said, it's just sad overall that we are not more aware and we are not more diligent on how we deal with our youth. Um, they should not be losing their lives. They should not be in a possession of a gun, or possession of anything that can cause deadly harm to themselves or deadly harm to others. And they should not lose their lives off of sitting in a car eating because of the violence that stands within our areas. Our children should be able to go out and play, sit in cars, wherever on a trip, and not have to be on edge, or as parents, we're on edge just to have them anywhere or go anywhere because of so much that's happening, and because at a heightened rate, younger and younger, our children are being killed. So with that being said, guys, I would love to stay on longer. I would definitely be back. For those of you that will tune in and watch my broadcast, I appreciate it so very much. Like I said, tonight I came in with current events, but I want you guys to tune in tomorrow because I will be doing Showdown Saturday, and Showdown Saturday will be giving you an open look into what will be happening in Love and Marriage Huntsville, because of course you guys know, yes, I have been following it from beginning to end. And yes, we are in season 3. And you guys, if you watch my previous video based on Love and Marriage Huntsville, you guys knew I was coming with that. So I hope you guys come through and stay tuned. And when you watch my video and you like it, subscribe, hit the up like button and notification bell. And I thank you guys for listening, watching, or even tapping the video to come in and watch. You guys have a blessed night and a blessed morning because let's put it, it's 12:43, so we're already in April 2nd. It is no more April Fools. So yes, you guys have a great one, and I thank everyone. Please subscribe, hit that up like button, notification bell. So every time I go live, you could be involved. The Honesty Podcast, your girl word. I'm out of here.